Welcome to Electric Bike Report. My name's John.
And I'm Griffin.
In this episode, we're going to talk about a popular moto-style e-bike brand that is currently being sued in the state of California.
It's not mine, is it?
You don't have one, Griffin.
Oh, that's right.
We're also going to be taking a look at one of the nation's longest multi-use trail systems in New York.
Empire State this week.
That's right. And we will also answer the question of whether or not a 9-speed drivetrain is actually a downgrade from a 10-speed.
Sounds like we're going to finally answer the question, does size matter? That and more in the weekly recharge. As always, we like to start out by taking a look at the best finds of the internet this week for bikes and e-bikes. John?
That's right.
Let's take a gander at what we got.
All right, starting off with a video from Mark McJunkin on Instagram.
Duties of what function, Mark?
Didn't we see this guy last episode?
We did. Oh, he's got the
He
trailer.
broke it, yeah. Oh.
Right, because you're not enough traction. I was afraid he was going to throw me on the side or something, a little bit more.
Okay,
There you go.
We're actually seeing it this time. I like
Yeah,
that.
last time was busted.
Dang, all right, so is it actually pushing the bike or is it just pushing itself?
That's a good question. Turn. He's instructional.
Back up.
Looks highly functional.
Yeah, looks awesome. I'm
Good
glad we
job,
got
man.
the follow-up with it. Can see it actually in use this time. Instead of just,
not breaking.
I broke it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up from bimodal.inc on Instagram.
Whoa, someone's on a stretcher, but
Oh.
he's smiling. I hope this is for training purposes.
I hope so too.
Okay, it is for training. So check this out. Last week, Western Monterey County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue upgraded the Elevate system with a 223mm rotor for extra torque and stopping power.
Okay.
Needless to say, stoked with the improved climbing ability and braking performance. The best part, with their powered lifter carrying essential gear, they can now reach injured individuals into the field 3 times faster than hiking. Oh, heck yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Cool.
I love that.
Okay, bimodal
we've
system.
got
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Hooked up right there.
So that's cool. So like a little stretcher, they can get people down 3 times faster. That's like awesome. Like this is really good, like, you know, motor power at work, like helping get respond quicker.
Yeah, and for the record, if you're not familiar with the bimodal, it's like a external motor that mounts to a rotor, and that, you know, it serves as the e-bike portion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
Well, that's really cool. I like that use case. Right on.
Okay.
Okay, next up we've got Farad's Center Singer.
Always give you the tough ones.
I know. I always take the ones in not English language too. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, like a little bike rack action.
The
Oh,
rad
cool.
tracker.
Did you see how like compact, like that folded in on itself? That was
That's
actually
amazing.
like pretty sweet. Okay, it goes over the frame, down the tires. Okay, we're locking it up. Got some forward tilt access there as well.
Okay.
So, all the usual functions of a rack system, but
Man.
oh, what?
Instant mounting. That's great.
That's legit. So right on the
Your,
all in.
Yeah.
dude,
Wow.
that's cool. That thing is down
Okay.
like super tight in the back. That's like the one downside about some of those, like, you know, like bike racks, just big old thing hanging off the back. So that's a pretty cool compact design.
Yeah, especially if it only takes one person to get it in place. That's very cool. Nice.
All right, I'm gonna let you take this one.
All right, Vishal Skater, and J Tattoo Studios. There we
You
go.
did better than I thought.
का रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहता, इसलिए मैं इसमें ब्रेक लगाने की सोच रहा हूँ। वैसे इसमें ब्रेक लगाना मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल टास्क होने वाला है, क्योंकि इसमें
Don't really understand what's happening.
Not following that,
Yeah.
but
और अगर मैं
digging the wheels. What do we got? So it's like a little
तब भी इस मोटर का साइज
scooter. So I'm sitting down a little bit at the beginning, but
इसलिए मुझे एक छोटे साइज की
This is
डिस्क
gonna
का जुगाड़ करना
be-
पड़ेगा, जिसके लिए मैं फटाफट से मोटर के सारे
Is that the-
कनेक्शन हटाकर
what drives it? Is that the
मोटर
motor?
लेकर निकल जाता हूँ इंडोर की ओर,
yeah.
रास्ते में
Okay, we got a drive unit.
और अजय टैटू स्टूडियो पर पहुंच जाता हूँ, जहाँ अजय भाई ने एक
Got a helmet for safety. Good.
Okay.
जिसे हम गैरेज पर ले जाकर खुलवा भी लेते हैं, जिसे लेकर हम लोग
Doing some work, cleaning up a
Someone down in the
rotor.
comments, please translate for us.
Yeah, seriously. Do we have any clues in the comments? No, not really.
मुझे फ्री में दी है, जिसके बाद हम लोग यहाँ पर थोड़ा मेजर करके होल वगैरह भी कर लेते हैं। तो यार भाई
Okay, we are just like engineering all sorts of stuff right now.
I love the DIY aspect of this. I
दोस्तों
mean,
जब मैंने अपनी
Okay, yeah, we're sitting.
now we see it.
We're rollerblading.
Holy smokes.
Oh, convert. Ooh, that was actually pretty smooth turning.
That is.
इसलिए मैं इसमें ब्रेक लगाने
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I like
Alright,
that. That's pretty cool. Ingenuity. I like
Very
people who
nice.
like see a motor on something. It's like, I bet I can find a different way to use that, and there's like MacGyver their way into something.
For sure. Also looks like very compact and storable. Like,
Yeah.
ride that to work and you're
Sweet.
good to go.
All right, the frickin' shredder, a friend. I've met him before. 10-second e-bike conversion kit.
Nice.
What we got, bud?
So I see we sort of have a running theme today with
gonna say.
conversion kits.
First.
Hold the torque sensor, and that's how it's done.
Torque sensor? Nice.
Ah.
Okay.
Code connects to the device to the down.
All right, let's get a closer look at
You
this
see a lot of
thing.
like torque sensor ones. How does this one like attach? So that's
Oh, there's
bike
the
on.
battery. Okay. Well, that's very cool.
it.
But it's gonna go down.
It's gonna go down over time. It's very lightweight.
So lightweight conversion kit's always in high demand. Let's see.
That's all device.
It's just a really cool looking
Wow.
device. Like it just goes around the cassette, it kind of looked like, but I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting clamping system there.
That is just a really different conversion kit than from what I've seen. So I
Yeah.
kind of need to look into that and learn more. That's actually pretty cool looking.
Need to get some hands-on experience with that.
Yeah, it's not like
for
your
sure.
usual friction drive stuff, but kind of the same vein. Okay. Next up.
Cool.
Kev does Insta. Yeah, he does. Let's see what you're up to, Kev.
Over 100 bikes in that time
Clearly.
frame and giving a lot of them away. You built 100 of them?
Sitting high.
100 of these things?
25, 30 years.
Is this like the guy we saw delivering pizza?
I don't know.
You remember that?
Yeah, it was riding high like a...
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Circus bike.
Then I thought they were impossible to get on, but they proved me wrong there.
That is a question I've always got, is how do people get on and off?
It's like the penny farthings.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you do when you hit a stoplight, though? See, he just makes it look easy.
I
Some skill required.
feel like I'd get hurt.
Some skill
Yeah.
required, to say the least.
As we've covered, I'm not the most coordinated person.
Of course, so hard
I
that.
used to think that tall bikes like this
Huh.
is.
Okay.
Well, pretty awesome. Moving on to China 955 Cargo.
Stop getting the easy names.
I know, right? I'm sorry.
Okay, what do we got here? Oh, we're dropping down? This is a camper?
Okay.
Because it's
This
like
is
a,
my
on a trike
style.
body, but this is like full-on camper rig coming down. Top tent. A little shade.
Probably
Okay.
a little bit more cost effective than that RV thing we talked about, the trike pulled. Yeah.
I would assume as much. Probably not 14 grand or whatever.
You're right.
I even like, let's go like a little step ladder built in on the back and stuff, so you can like access that top.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, a couple more. This one is Danger Home, the Money Bikes and Danger Home Handlebar Fork Handle Bork just won the Best Handlebar, meaning worst, but also Best Worst category in the 2024 Hubies Award? I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
I think-
Look at this beautiful monstrosity. This is Frankenstein's monster in handlebar fork form. I see why it's like the best, worst, best, ugliest, or whatever. That's kind of cool. Like, it's different. I like different. I applaud different.
I feel like steering that thing would be so strange.
I think it would be a new sensation. Let's
Yeah,
see.
you're
Winner,
steering in
most
front of
dangerous Doug collab handlebork.
I do love Handlebork though.
Yes.
That's my new band name.
Hashtag handlebork.
And
Okay.
finally wrapping up with Outside Brendan and Scratch Labs.
You had a perfect record for the easy
I
names,
really,
and I'm mad about it.
Yeah, 10 for 10.
Makes recovery drink immediately after working out. Simply fill the bottle with cold, fresh water and then add
Here I shake my own shaker bottle like a chump. This guy gets it. Let the bike do the work for you. Look at that thing kick.
Ridges on the main drive wheel. When you're done, extend your ground assisted park
Shaken,
device
not
and
stirred,
follow
Mr. Bond.
That's right.
of recovery mix.
That was clever.
Thanks. I just borrowed a phrase.
Well, interesting use for a contraption there, but get your protein shakes ready to go.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's keep moving. Well, since we didn't say it before, Happy New Year, and thanks for coming back here. We'll start off this segment by taking a look at some of the news that's happened recently. It's been relatively slow with the holidays, but we've got a few stories for you. So.
Yeah, a few things snuck in there towards the end of 2024 and to start off 2025. So
Always good.
Leading things off, UL safety standards cut from government funding bill, but that actually might be a good thing. So here's how, and let's kind of like go through this. So part of the big spending bill that was happening in the US here towards the end of the year, a lot of back and forth on it. Some things got repealed to avoid a shutdown, and this act was actually one of the things that was left out. However, not necessarily a bad thing. So a direct quote from within this article, People for Bikes is relieved that the budget bill passed by Congress and signed by the president did not contain a last-minute amendment that would have substantially altered H.R. 1797, the Settling Consumer Standards for Lithium-Ion Batteries Act. As passed earlier this year by the House, People for Bikes wrote in a statement to Bicycle Retailer that amendment would have directed the CPSC to adopt unreasonably narrow safety standards for electric bicycles and replacement batteries on an accelerated timeframe. People for Bikes looks forward to working with the CPSC in 2025 on expected regulatory safety standards for batteries and e-mobility devices, which we have supported and advocated for at the state and federal levels for the past 2 years. So
That was a lot, but
that was a lot.
basically they're just not requiring UL certification on batteries.
Exactly. We've been in the works on like as an industry on certain batteries, like safety things, as it was going.
New York has led.
Exactly, and as it was going to be passed as part of this bill, would have been very constrictive for manufacturers, would have made things really hard to adapt that quickly.
Sure.
So kind of by taking it out of there, they have like better time to address it. It's not that we're having battery safety or standards go away by any means. Nobody wants that. But again, tackling the issue in the right way for manufacturers, for consumer safety, for all parties involved, just, making sure it passes the right way.
These things take time. I think there's definitely some things that kind of need to be addressed with legislation, but I also think that like too much legislation just becomes a block and a problem.
Especially if done too quickly without enough forethought as to how to execute. So
definitely, because then you got to backpedal. So
yeah,
that's very cool. Our next story is also from bicycle retailer. So Super 73, the very popular moto style brand that I referenced in the intro, is being sued in the state of California. So the lawsuit filed by California resident Hillary Whitman on December 10th in Marin County Superior Court alleges, among other complaints, that Super 73 engaged in negligent and intentional misrepresentation and false advertising, claiming its models are e-bikes when in fact they are motor vehicles. So this kind of ties into something that we discussed on the show here a few weeks ago about a new bill in California, SB 1271, that sort of reclassifies the 3 classes of e-bikes. Basically, as things were, bikes that were labeled as class 1 or class 3 could also be class 2 and have a throttle, but that is no longer the case. We are only looking at class 2s that have throttles. So Super 73 is one of many brands that sells their bikes in class 2 mode, but they can be unlocked by the consumer and able to exceed the legal speed limits of even class 3 e-bikes, which is 28 miles per hour. And so that's kind of where things are becoming a problem here. So the plaintiff's attorney said that our client, like countless others, spent a significant amount of money for a Super 73 vehicle that cannot be lawfully operated as an e-bike. This case is not just about the money that these consumers have spent on Super 73 vehicles that they cannot lawfully ride. These vehicles are dangerous given the high speeds they can obtain, resulting in numerous accidents involving children, as highlighted in the lawsuit. So our client's lawsuit seeks not just refunds for her and others similarly situated, but also a court order prohibiting Super 73 from selling its vehicles as e-bikes in California. Pretty tough.
Definitely, and we're starting to see some of those like laws going into effect in California. I mean, this is the real ramifications of it. Like in that story, if I remember correctly, like she was trying to have her kid take it to school, and they couldn't because they didn't recognize it as an e-bike. It was a moped, and it's like a 12-year-old or something like that. So we're starting to see some of those complications. It's going to be interesting to see where we kind of go from here. This is a class action lawsuit attempt. Super 73 has not commented yet. They said they're going to do, their attorneys said they'll do so shortly. It'll be interesting to see. They're not the only ones who do this. There are a lot of other brands that do actually make their e-bikes go significantly faster. Some guard those controls with a lot of
barriers.
Exactly. You gotta sign waivers. You gotta get contact codes. Gotta reach it out to the brand and stuff like that. I'm kind of interested to see if this is that Super 73 because it was just too easy. How it's gonna look moving forward. There's still a lot of unknowns in the law that I think we're going to start finding out in real time now.
I agree, and I think it'll be interesting to see, even with that law passing, like how much or how often law enforcement kind of goes after that sort of thing or addresses it. I mean, obviously, we've talked before about how generally if you're not causing problems, you seem to be okay, but maybe that will change in the future. Maybe, there's gonna be checkpoints or something.
We're kind of living in the new world now. It's just gonna be interesting to see how it unfolds. We're gonna keep monitoring this story and ones like it and see
keep you updated. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and then next up we have, so the Senate passes the Explore Act, a law 10 years in the making, and this is going to provide better long-distance bike trails amongst some other outdoor-focused things. So for those who have not heard about it, the Explore Act was passed in the U.S. House back in April, and it's now going to the President's desk for signature after, like I said, a 10-year advocacy campaign to improve outdoor recreational policy. So along with some of the benefits of this, by expanding, direct quote from the article, once again, thank you bicycle retailer, by expanding access to our public lands and supporting opportunities for everyone to enjoy the outdoors, the Explore Act underscores the power of recreation to connect all Americans, said People for Bikes President and CEO Jen Dice. It's a win for the outdoor economy, recreational access, and the spirit of exploration that unites us all. So part of this is actually the BOLT, or the Biking on Long Distance Trails Act, identifying and creating more long distance e-bike trail, or bike and e-bike trails.
Sure.
So part of it is they're going to look to revitalize and add more to 10 existing long distance trails and look to add 10 more new ones to it as well. There's gonna be some funding provided, just some more infrastructure, which we're always talking about, we're always wanting to see more of. So we're really excited to see this pass. again, kudos to those people who stuck with it for 10 years to help get it passed.
Totally. I mean, this is just the newest in a line of things that we've talked about with improvements on funding and infrastructure. So, I mean, kudos, and that's...
And it's not exclusive to bikes. This is actually like an entire outdoor thing. So like climbers, like some other just hikers, trail lovers of all types are going to benefit from this. So really cool to see.
That is moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So normally in this section, we take a look at the new products that we've received that are currently in testing and talk about reviews that have recently gone live. But we were on a break for the holidays.
But there's not a lot on that front.
Yeah, we didn't really get anything in. We didn't really do any publishing. We took a bit of time to rest and recuperate as well, which we hope you all did. But very exciting. Griffin, we talked about your Trek Rail.
We certainly did.
And you got a chance to ride that?
I finally did. My wife was making me hold out. It was a Christmas present after all, so she forbade me from touching it. But after 3 weeks of staring at the thing, I finally got to ride it.
Yes.
It was an absolute blast. It was everything I wanted it to be. Just really fun, really smooth ride. I'm always a fan of, Trek, obviously they nail their frames, their geometry.
Yep.
Suspension on it was nice. Who doesn't love a good Bosch performance line motor?
Yeah, totally.
Handled like a dream. Just did 12 miles to break it in, but had a really good time. Took a buddy with me. He went mountain biking for the first time, and good time had by all. So it was worth the wait.
Thanks for the quick rundown. That's awesome.
But since we're a little bit light on things to talk about this week on the review front, this is actually an opportunity for you guys to write in and let us know. Let us know down in the comments which bikes you would like to see us review. We actually do take audience feedback when we see lots of different people commenting on the same bike. That's good, for us to know. That's also ammo for going out and reaching out to a brand and saying, hey, there's demand on our channel for your bikes. So if there is a brand you haven't seen us cover yet, let us know. If there's a specific bike you want to see, let us know. We try to give you a little preview of what's in the works in this section, but hey, let us know. We'll try and arrange something.
Yeah, we've always got new things coming in the door, but we can't keep our eyes on everything that's out there. So if you know of something that you like, let us know what that is.
Each week, we like to highlight a new trail system or a city with great infrastructure, or even just sometimes something in the works. We're always looking for new places to ride and to add to your bucket list destinations. So, John, this week, I believe you have our trail system. Where is it we're checking out?
So this is a bigger scale one than we've talked about previously. This is the Empire State Trail in New York State. Okay. So it's actually one of the nation's longest multi-use trail systems. It incorporates some on-road segments, but then there's also off-road segments that are either gravel paths or paved paths. Cool. But all total, it's a 750 miles worth of trails, and it is basically comprised of 3 separate sections of trail. So there's a huge east-west segment called the Erie Canalway that runs 360 miles from Buffalo to Albany, and that passes through Rochester, Syracuse, and Utica, as well as a few other cities. Okay. And then there's a couple of north-south segments that kind of branch out from Albany there. There is the Hudson Valley Greenway, which connects New York City to Albany, and it passes through Poughkeepsie and Kingston. That's about a 275-mile segment. And then there's also a little bit of a rougher, tougher segment called the Champlain Valley Trail that runs from Albany all the way up to the Canadian border. That passes kind of through the edge of the Adirondack Mountains, and then also
Sounds intense.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. Definitely out there. And that one's got, I believe, a 5-star difficulty rating. And then also that's 187 miles, so the math there's a little bit wonky. All those totals together exceed that 750 mile mark that I found initially, but anyway, 750, 800 miles, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, pretty cool system.
But I mean, overall, this is really cool. I feel like, we're obviously based out of Utah, and whenever we talk about New York, there's just so much focus on the big city itself. Totally. But this is actually really cool, just kind of how it sprawls across everywhere from Buffalo to Albany, New York, all those different places you're talking about hitting up. I mean, and looking at just some of these photos, I mean, New York is just it's a pretty place.
It's a diverse place.
It's very diverse too. I mean, there's lots of really cool things, and I kind of like this trail system. It sounds like we've got a mix of some easier stuff, some tougher stuff, some appeal to newer cyclists or some of the more experienced roadies who don't mind sharing the highway with the semi trucks.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's a little bit of something for everybody, and just again, really awesome stuff to see.
It is. There's urban areas. There's some more wilderness areas. There's some historic sites that you can check out on the trail. There's rail trail segments, you know, if you're familiar with that sort of thing. There's even some like breweries and wineries you can stop at on the way, as well as plenty of places to camp, especially on the Erie Canalway.
Okay.
And then I just thought the kind of history of this was cool. So the governor back in 2017 kind of started this process rolling to get this trail system built, and it was finished in 2020, so right in time for the pandemic, which
Nice.
you know,
Helped people get.
Yeah.
We all remember those days. We were itching to get out.
Absolutely. So, you know, just definitely bikes bring people together and, you know, enable us to live a healthier lifestyle, and it seems like New York is doing it right.
Well, I think this is really cool too, especially with that camping you talked about, because you're not doing all 750 or 800 miles in a day. So it sounds like, you know, good way to break it up, see a little different like sections of it, and you know, if you're the type who wants to cross off everywhere on your Strava and say you went like all over,
Definitely.
good ways to break that up. So really awesome.
Yeah, very cool place.
Now for one of our favorite segments where we answer questions from you, our audience, as found on YouTube, the website, or if you yell at me, hey Griffin, will you answer this question on your next episode?
We also have questions at electricbikereport.com.
Don't forget the email.
address.
Thank you for the plug on that one, John.
Of course.
So let's go ahead and get things started here. This one comes to us from last week's episode. This is from David Fedor?
4125.
Sure. That's the one. What about prediction for which companies are on the edge for closing, bankruptcy, the market is saturated with new companies, reinventing the wheel, my juice bike outlasted the company, which went belly up in 2024. John, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, speculating is difficult. We'll start off by saying that.
Yes, for sure.
You know, we didn't expect juice to go under for sure.
Nope.
I don't think anyone did. But typically speaking, brands tend to play things pretty close to the chest. So, you know, we don't have all the behind the scenes info. You know, we work with a lot of brands, but that doesn't mean that we know how their business is run or what their, you know, numbers are.
There's a lot that goes into like the success of a company. They can make really good products and maybe they're not as good as marketing or inventory management, stuff like that. Maybe they're doing a lot great on the outside, but the bikes we test are great. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty and unknown. Being a successful company is definitely hard. But that being said, like, I think there's reason for optimism. I tell people to focus on the bike first and foremost. I mean, you said your juiced bike has outlasted juiced. I mean, that's the good thing. I would say on that front. But.
Definitely. I mean, you know, companies big or small can fail. We don't necessarily expect any to in the near future, although it's entirely possible. But, you know, if you're buying a bike that you like, that's put together well, I would say don't worry too much about the future and just enjoy what you have and get out there and hit the trails. You know?
Say, come what may. You know? All right, so next up, the Ride One Roadster V3 video. Any thoughts on Ride One Up switching out the Shimano drivetrain for MiscroShift? I'm not familiar with MiscroShift. Do you think that's a step down? Specifically, they switched to using the MiscroShift Advent 9 derailleur instead of the Shimano Dior 10-speed derailleur. So, the MiscroShift has an 11 to 36 tooth cassette instead of a Shimano 11 to 36 tooth cassette. MiscroShift Advent trigger shifter instead of the Shimano Dior 10-speed rapid fire trigger shifter. John, what do you think?
Yeah, so first of all, you know, again, we took a little bit of time off for the holidays. So at Leggett, thank you for presenting this question. That was actually something that, you know, was kind of news to me when I showed up to work this morning. I had to kind of dig into that and do a little bit of research to see what had happened there. So, you know, bottom line, technically, yes, going from a 10-speed to a 9-speed is a little bit of a downgrade, but I don't think that you're going to notice it a whole lot, especially on an e-bike. I think that, you know, if you were riding an analog bike, there may be a bit of a difference there in feel, but I think that the motor is just going to kind of compensate for any differences there. Because bottom line, the gear ratio, which is basically, you know, the difference between the highest and lowest gear, the cogs on the cassette there, it's 327% in both cases. So you're getting the same feel essentially in first and ninth or first and 10th gears. The chainring size is the same, that's 42 tooth. So, you know, again, it shouldn't really have any impact on how the bike feels, you know, unless maybe you're riding it without power. So.
I mean, it sounds like somewhere in there you might have a small like jump that changed, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, do you really notice? Like, no, we're answering the question directly that we teased in the intro. Does size matter? 10-speed, 9-speed? The ratio itself is probably the bigger deal here, is I think what you're kind of like alluding to.
Exactly.
And so in that case, I don't think we're...
It's apples and oranges.
It's apples and oranges. Yeah,
they're still fruit.
I don't,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. I don't know that it's going to change up the bike that much, to be honest. So
for sure. And then moving on to a question from the Lectric XPeak 2.0 review from Mr. Gantz Fan. Griffin.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on the step-through model? Has the wobble issue been resolved?
Okay. So on that bike, just for a little history lesson for those who don't
That's
know,
good to know, yeah.
there was stuff going around on the XPeak 1.0 was going around online for a while about a wobble issue, especially or on the step-through model specifically, especially when people were loading up the rear rack with stuff. So I can't address that fully yet because I have not ridden the XPeak 2.0 step-through.
Right.
So in that review, we actually went down to Phoenix, Arizona, Lectric's headquarters. They'll like debut and get our hands on the bikes. Well, they only had high step models available for testing at that time. I did see a step-through model, did not get a chance to ride it. However, it did look like it was a thicker, more reinforced, exactly frame. So I do suspect that would help with any of that wobble issue.
Makes sense.
For us, the reason we didn't go like writing an article or anything on it is that wobble issue that's kind of there. It's not necessarily uncommon, especially with step-through fat tire bikes. That is
Totally.
just kind of a thing that's there, but really, as long as you're keeping two hands on the handlebars, like we don't really find the issue to be that problematic. If you let go, you can sense it wobble a little bit, but you can say the same thing of a lot of other frame styles.
Yes.
There are poorly constructed frames out there that might have some wobble issue, but just like in general, by and large, with these bikes, keep two hands on it and you're going to be just fine.
So yeah, we'll dive in a little bit deeper if we get to have our hands on the step-through model of the XPeak. But for now, that's kind of what we have.
That's basically where we're at with that. We'll stay tuned. Hopefully get that step through in pretty soon. All right, and then for our next one up, this is from the Best Electric Bikes 2024 video from BP Your Cappy. Why do I get these names, John? It's just ask them why they don't include any name brand bikes. They should just call themselves the Direct Consumer E-Bike Channel. The deals they talk about are just cheap crap from China. John, thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot to kind of get into with this one. So, first things first, most of the brands that we work with are based in the US or in Europe at some point. But, regardless of that, many of the e-bikes that we get our hands on, regardless of the brand or where the brand is located, they're made overseas in China or Taiwan, Vietnam, that sort of thing. So, in going back to the kind of apples and oranges comparison, like a lot of times they're closer to apples, maybe different varieties of apples, different factories here. So we also really try to take a look at bikes above a certain quality threshold, and that kind of starts right around that $1,000 price point. But the bikes that we review range from $1,000 up to $15,000. But our testing shows that regardless of the brand, where they come from, again, different varieties of apples, the performance is pretty close in most cases.
I was gonna say, you'd be surprised at how good a $1,500 bike can be pitted next to a $2,400 bike or something like that.
100%.
So when we're making those best videos, we've been pretty transparent about that in the past, where we skew slightly towards the value of it.
Yeah.
But also on that video, I think we did have a track, we did have a specialized. Like we include big brand names because they do make really great products, really great machines. But I do always chuckle a little bit when people are saying it's just cheap crap from China, because it's like, guys, there's just so much. Everything's being made over there.
Right.
You'll get a spectrum of good and bad.
There's so many good things too. I mean, kind of bottom line, a lot of the brands that are on that list, brands like Aventon, Ride One Up, Rad Power Bikes, plenty of others on there. Those are the brand names in the industry. Like, yes, Trek and Specialized, some of those other brands have been around a little bit longer, they're a little bit larger, but these bikes are
They're the e-bike, they specialized there first before they haven't branched out. They're just e-bike brands first. The legacy ones do a mix and they do good e-bikes, but again, don't be surprised when the e-bike brands are the ones we consider the best amongst the best e-bikes.
There is a reason that they are on there. Again, we do hands-on testing. We see all of these things, and the bikes that make it onto our best lists, kind of like the comparison video there, we're not paid to put them on those lists. Those are our picks because they are the best.
I was like, data comes into play. We ride lots of bikes. These ones feel the best. They got good data, back it up. Brands who've been around a while, good warranties. It's just kind of the recipe for landing on that list, really. So.
Absolutely. And then just kind of one final point there, that a lot of those brands, yes, did technically get their start as direct-to-consumer brands, but a lot of them are, available in bike shops and even some big box stores.
I was gonna say, I remember when during the Christmas break, went back home and saw someone advertising Mach Wheel sold here and stuff like that. Aventon is in big box now, Rad One Up. I mean, they're rad.
Aventon's all over the bike shop right next to my house. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That's how it goes. But moving on to a question from the Retrospec Koa Rev 2 ST review from @JethroGibbs85. these bikes seem to offer nothing but a very slight price increase over, say, a Lectric or your average Lectric. Both of these are exceedingly reliable brands. This thing has no special tech, besides a good but smallish battery with LG cells. What would you say in response to that?
I hear you on that. When it comes to Lectric too, I think people make a lot of comparisons to Lectric.
Sure.
I would say that you can find a really good bike at $1,400, kind of like the Koa, you know, something a little bit more, like maybe it is $100 or $200 more, but I mean, it's different brands, it's a different vibe, it's a different thing. Even if it didn't have like a signature, like different feature or something like that, you can still make a good quality ride there at that price. In retrospect, I actually kind of think might be a brand that we start seeing do a lot more in e-bikes. They're actually a very diversified company. They make a lot of different products.
Yes.
But I mean, they're in paddleboards, they're in just a whole
Camping equipment,
fitness.
yeah.
Like they kind of got their hands in a lot of different like places. But I think in the affordable e-bike space, they're actually kind of like a name to keep an eye on because they are doing a lot with some really affordable models. You know, in the case of that one, it is similar to like, you know, the Lectric XPeak is what I believe they're referencing, or like even like reminded me a lot of like the Lectric Nomad 1 Plus in a lot of ways.
Totally.
But again, you can make a good quality ride roughly at that dollar amount. You know, we've had, just again, going back to Retrospec, nothing but really good experiences with most of their models. We actually love the value that they offer on most of the things that we've ridden and tested from them. And again, they've been around for 2009. They've gotten their, you know, taken a leap into e-bikes the last few years, but the more and more that we see from them, the more they're actually pretty impressed by them.
Yeah, and they went from having just like a handful of models to like 20 different, you know, so it's clear that they're kind of going all in.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, getting back to the heart of like where this comment came from, like, are there some things that they could have done a little bit better on that model? Like probably, and that's why they have like the upgraded model of that particular bike where they did throw even more like tech and features and stuff at it, you know, with a price to match, of course. So again, I think it's overall a pretty solid and good brand. But you know, hey, if Lectric looks more appealing to you at that price, then I'm not going to begrudge anyone who wants to go get, take advantage. By all means, go get it if that's for you. Some people might like, you know, look, the feel, the vibe, or something of the Retrospec. Different strokes for different folks. Something we often say here when it comes down, comes right down to it.
100%. And again, this is why we do reviews that, you know, are data driven. So if you're considering between these two and you're focused on performance, you can actually see the numbers between how they performed in our hill test or our range test and make your decision based on that.
Yep.
So let us know if you have any questions down in the comments section. Make sure you're subscribed so you can keep track of our new reviews. But I think that's all we got for this week.
Yep.
Griffin, do you know what time it is?
It's time for
Deals of the Week.
Deals of the Week. My fingers were not snapping as loud as they usually do.
Same.
Very muted
A little
snap.
clammy today. I don't know.
It's very humid in here. Anywho, let's take a look at the highlight deals from this past week that we were able to find.
Yeah, what do we have started off?
You know, there's not actually a lot of new stuff, but there are still some lingering ones dating back to Black Friday, the holiday shopping season, end of year, whatever you want to call it.
Still continuing.
But there's still some lingering tales from there that are really good ones that we do think are worth recommending. So
for sure,
take a look at it. So first things is the Event and Pace 500.3, either the high step or the Step-thru. It not only is it saying $200 off, but you get a free spare battery with purchase, which is a $500 value, $700 total in savings. It's a really fast, fun, efficient, comfortable ride. There's just a lot we like about it. Dutch-style cruiser, but kind of speedy, kind of fun, very interesting. So
very, very good reason why that bike is so popular.
Exactly.
And then next we have a couple of models from Trek that are on sale up to 45% off. So the first is the Elant Plus 8S Stagger. So that's sort of the mid-step or step-through version. That is $1,550 off, now down to $2,900. That, you know, very solid commuter bike, well built. It has a Bosch motor, a nice big battery. Pairs with the Bosch Kobe app, which is a really cool hub for, you know, all of the health, music, whatever apps that you use frequently.
It is one of the better apps I've had more fun with, I think, across the e-bikes we've tested.
100%, yes.
And then not only that, but another bike we reviewed from Trek, also on sale. So that's the FX Plus 2. It is $650 off, making it now just $1,849. So
solid deal.
I'm going to just go ahead and quote John from his review, because when I was looking into it, he said it really well. This is a bike with its roots as a function-forward, human-powered machine, but also makes it easier and more fun to go farther, faster, and further uphill. So the gist of it,
alliteration,
exactly, always fun.
Yeah.
Just a really cool natural ride feel, lightweight, really good one to take a look at, especially when it's, you know, that much off.
It's great deal, for sure. Always happy to get my hands on a Trek bike, as you can attest.
Definitely.
There. Next up is from Ride One Up. So, boy, end of an era here. They are closing out the 700 series, clearancing everything, so you can snag that for $345 off, and that also includes a free 15 amp hour battery with your purchase. Just a really well put together commuter. It's fast, it's powerful, it's got a 750 watt motor.
It's fun, it's got all the essentials you need for commuting, lights and a rack and whatnot. So I mean, really good value bike, the free battery with 375 value. I mean, why not?
Again, another reason like that is such a popular bike, and sad to see it go, but I'm sure there's something in the works over there.
Yeah, definitely. And then last but not least, calling all fishermen, the Lectric XPeak 1.0 ST is it has $786 in total savings right now.
Okay.
So talked about this bike a little bit before, but I mean, it's a really good bike, really popular ride. And right now they're just throwing all sorts of goodies in it to clear out the 1.0 model to make room for the 2.0 that was announced. So it's got a free spare battery, 4 accessories including rack, fenders, headlight, and fishing rod holder. Reason I'm calling out the English on this one. There you have it.
I was wondering where that was coming from.
But I mean, it's a bike that's got great power. It's really easy to mount, of course, with that step-through frame, and then it's just got really rugged performance. It's got an RST fork with like a fancy e-mountain bike durability rating, so that you'll know it'll hold up for the long haul. Again, I don't think you have to be a fisherman to enjoy it. You just happen to get, a rod holder if that's something you're into. But again, nearly $800 in savings. It's a really good value right now, so definitely worth taking a look at for $12.99.
Can't argue with that. You watching, we want to thank you. And so for that reason, we picked this segment to highlight someone from our audience who's reached out to us to let us know, how you're using your bike. So Griffin, you want to take us through this one? This is Steve from Portland, Oregon.
So exactly. And before, I shout out Steve here, I want to give a little bit of a backstory too as to why I chose Steve this week.
Interesting.
Because of the kind words that he shared with us. But for me, my in-laws were actually looking for bikes this Christmas season to give to each other. And they must have called me like about a dozen times as they were trying to narrow down the list. We did lots of testing, on the bikes that we have here and stuff like that. And they expressed
Unintended?
Yeah, exactly. No. They expressed something that I thought was, just really validated kind of what we do here in addition to like all of our testing. It's really fun. We're grateful to be paid for it, but it's also to kind of help people just make informed and good decisions, because they expressed to me, there's just too many options out there.
There are.
It feels hard to commit to one. I said 100%. That's why we're here to provide the data, provide some insight and whatnot. So I really appreciated this comment from Steve, who shared this with us. I've been watching your reviews on and off for years. Always clear reviews that have value to us while buyers and riders. Just subscribe to get all your reviews. 68 years old, rad city bike rider. Got family to get electric trike and electric 3.0. It's great to commute, light shopping, ride in the country, get my aerobics while breathing some fresh air instead of gym air. Keep up your excellent reviews and recommendations. Happy New Year to you all. Steve in Portland, Oregon. Steve, sincerely, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Again, just to reiterate, we love what we do, but it's also just very validating to know we're helping make a difference and helping you guys kind of like narrow down and find what's right for you. So appreciate you sharing that, and glad you found some value in the testing and work we do.
Thanks for your story too, Griffin. I appreciate it. Very good.
So that's going to do it for this week's show. Again, sincerely, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you guys' support. And don't forget to reach out and comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But again, if you want to be featured on Questions of the Week, Rider of the Week, reach out to us either in the comments down below or back on the website.
Or questions@electricbikereport.com. I'm going to keep plugging it.
I keep forgetting we have that email. Thank you so much for making sure you're on top of that.
So that'll be in the video description along with other links from the sales and the trails that we talked about.
Anything we covered today.
But that'll be it for this week's episode of The Weekly Recharge. Thanks for tuning in.